recommendation 4 of the position paper, to me, is absolutely central. That should really be out there. Mazzucato talks about tilting the playing field. And if we can't tilt the playing field on environmental and social issues to benefit the firms that are being the most progressive, what can we do, right? So that's super important. And similarly, linking it through to the empathy map run by the Build project, Esme Peters and I did a series of interviews as part of our PROCEDIN project. And much as Anne said, the people who were getting on best with innovation procurement were not putting PCP and the like front stage. It's not that they didn't do it, but it wasn't front stage, and they were thinking about innovation procurement in very, very broad terms. But what I'd like to do today is something that's close to my heart, very much my personal agenda, is to make a comment on the professionalisation agenda, and particularly the competence building part of it. Because I think that what we have is some very nice work around competence frameworks, training initiatives that are going along with those frameworks, but there's more we can do. And when we look at the various initiatives, are we creating sufficiently appealing jobs to attract the best talent? And are we trying to attract talent from the most appropriate sources? And as I mentioned, this comes from a personal perspective because I can't even read it from here. But I've been in procurement for a very long time, and my first degree was in geology, right? So I think you can do procurement. I then did all the training for the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. But I think we can come from all sorts of different fields into this area of innovation of public procurement. And then I got involved in capacity building and building competence frameworks and assessing people against those frameworks back for, it was London Underground then. More recently, in 2020, I joined the University of Twente. That sounds like a bad joke, doesn't it? But yes. And there I do public sector and healthcare administration, but I'm working in a team of colleagues who are all about strategy, entrepreneurship, innovation, and so on. So very much more the business side. And then we started the Horizon Europe project, and then we did these interviews that I just mentioned. And all of these have been very important for shaping the comments I'd like to make now. So what I'd like to put to you is, what do we need in the next decade? What people do we need to be doing public procurement, but especially the innovation side of public procurement? We could go for this top slice that I hope you can read better than I can. We could say, right, we want our recruits to be majored in something like law or finance or public governance. And of course, they need a little bit of innovation and strategy and business knowledge to help that role. That, I would suggest, and forgive me all the lawyers in the room, okay, I'm not a lawyer, I think will take us towards compliance-driven. And what I would like to suggest is, if we're trying to focus on value creation, then maybe what we need is the arrangement we have in the bottom layer, where the major attributes, the major skill sets of the people we're trying to bring in and develop in their early careers are around innovation, strategy, and business. Now, of course, along the way, they must understand the relevant law, they must have an understanding of the finance and public governance as well. But it's, what do we look for centre stage? And so when I'm involved in educating business administration students, what I'm thinking about is some of the things that are captured on this slide. So what we have here is 4 boxes. If I start top left, thinking about it from the employer's perspective, I think we can do more about role design and recruitment. Who do we hire? Who could we hire? Under the preceding arrangements, we ran a workshop, and people in the room were talking about the job that they had worked straight after uni. They'd gone into this role, and they had public admin colleagues, legal trained colleagues, urban planners. Not really business and management so much. What entry requirements do we set? University of Twente is very close to the German border, and we used to have quite a lot of German students. And I asked one of them, oh, are you going to work in this sector? So he was doing a master's in business admin with a strong specialism in purchasing, and he wanted to be a purchasing professional. And he said, well, I can work in a German hospital, but I can't work in local government because I don't have a law background. I thought that was a terrible shame. This is someone who aspires to be a purchasing professional. So are the requirements that we're setting the right requirements? And are we setting up the jobs in a way that really align with the performance that we're looking for? Moving on to top right, I think we also need to challenge business students' preconceptions. Most of the undergraduates that we recruit, they start business admin thinking they're going to work in a very big organisation, or UT specialises in entrepreneurship, so maybe they want to run their own business. They don't arrive thinking they might do business for the public sector. But when we point out just how hugely valuable that business is and what the potential impact they might have on society, environment, social outcomes, then it gets more interesting. So I'm always saying to my very business-orientated business colleagues, we're not here to administer business, we're here to teach people how to do good business well. So it's a much broader concept. And then we want to make sure these students actually understand what the opportunities are. And again, that's one of the deliverables that we've contributed through the PROCEDIN project, is to try and help spread the word to these students. And finally, the routes for growth and development. I was looking back through some of the materials about career development, and the presumption is really you're climbing the hierarchy. But in a lot of places now, it's about moving around between different roles, moving across projects. Yeah, you've been in that role for a while, you don't necessarily get promoted, you go to a fresh space where you can bring your experience and learn something new. And I'm not convinced that we're that well set up to be able to work with that flexibility. And yet if we could, then I think we could really make the most of it and bring out that sort of opportunities for initiative and entrepreneurial flair, which doing good business is important, and also very much based around the environmental and social agenda to help improve that. That is me done.